Atomic Habits is a great book, and I highly recommend it to a lot of people to read because it gives you a solid foundation when it comes to changing your habits. But there is a very important part missing in the book, and even the author himself mentions this in the book. You pick up a book like Atomic Habits because you either want to learn something about habits, but most people start reading a book like this because they want to change their habits. They want to change their life. But habits are not going to change you. Habits are not going to change your life. Habits are simply a support structure that are guiding the change that you're creating. Habits are a byproduct of a catalyst that happens before that happens inside of you. But most people don't focus on that thing that actually creates a change, and they immediately jump to habits. And then they question, why don't they stick? Why am I not changing? Because you've seen this plenty of times where people are doing habits for a significant amount of time, for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever the research is telling you to do, only to fall back into old patterns, only to fall back into the life that they've always been living. Like, why is this happening? Why are people not changing? And the reason for this is you will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. And this is referring to the identity piece. And in Atomic Habits, he mentions the importance of identity, how identity is determining if a habit sticks or not. And this is where I wish that he went deeper into this topic. Like, how do you actually change your identity? So this is what I believe is missing in Atomic Habits. And of course, I understand that he couldn't write a whole manual for life around this topic. But this is where I wish that he was going deeper into this, because changing your identity is so deep. It's so nuanced. It's so complex. How do you do something like this? Because most people focus on the doing. And the process of change is about be, do, have. But most people focus only on the doing. What actions do I need to do? How do I do this? What strategies, what habits to create the result that I want? And then I change my identity. But you need to start with the identity, and the actions become an automatic byproduct of this. Because have you experienced before that when you try to do a new habit, it's so forceful. You need to force yourself to do the habit. It is costing so much willpower, and it's because it's not in alignment with your old identity. You try to bring a new habit into this old life of you, and of course, it doesn't match. There is this internal conflict, which is why it's not sticking, which is why the change is not happening. So how do you change your identity? And that's what I'll go deeper into this video, to give you 3 simple ways how you can change your identity and also make the habit stick. But just know that this topic is way more nuanced. It's deep, it's complex than I'm describing in this video. And my intention is to give you, for the sake of this video, some simple ways. But if you want a deep dive into how do you change your identity, how do you change those limiting beliefs inside of you, let me know in the comments below, because I love to go into the nitty-gritty of these things, because this is what I do on a daily basis with my coaching. But for the sake of this video, we're going to keep it, and I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So the first way that you can use is to feel your reason why. Why do you want to change in the first place? Why do you want to do these habits consistently? And I really want to emphasize that point of feeling. You need to feel why. Because most people try to think their way to an identity shift, but it doesn't work like that. You can't think your way to changing. It happens on an emotional level. It happens inside of you. When you look at the big decisions that you've made in your life, you feel when you make that decision. You feel when you want to do something, or when you want to make that leap of faith. Something happens inside of you, and then you start moving. But this is where you want to connect emotionally to your reasons why. And of course, this is a big overarching question, but you can also make it more specific, as in this emotional connection is coming from either you want to move away from pain, or you want to move towards a desired outcome. And this emotional connection is so important, because this also helps you to get through the times that are challenging and tough. Because this is where most people fall back into old patterns, because they don't have that strong emotional connection to why am I doing the habits in the first place. So when times get tough, they fall back immediately, because there's no reason to continue. So to give you 2 specific examples in both of these buckets. And let's start with the desired outcome. So when I look at my hand balancing, I am currently training for the one-arm handstand. And of course, I want to move far beyond this. So I'm training for as much as my body allows me to. So currently that's 6 times a week for 90 minutes a day, only one-arm handstand stuff. And after that, I'll do some yoga or strength exercises. So on average, I often train 2 hours a day. So this is a habit, and you think like, okay, how do I develop this habit? But the question is like, why do I do this? Why am I training so much? And the reason that is really driving me currently in this moment is the question of what am I capable of in this world? What am I capable of? How far can I take this thing? How far can I stretch myself? It's really to explore the fullest of my potential. It is not even about the one-arm handstands. So now you can stand on one arm, whoop-de-doo. Now what? Like, what's the point of doing this? Like, it doesn't make any logical sense of why would you do something like that. But it's this devotion to excellence. It's this devotion to mastery. These are the characteristics that I want to be building. This is the kind of men that I want to develop myself into. I am devoting myself to creating this circus level mastery in my handstand, in my hand balancing. Because when I did calisthenics, there are certain moves that you can do, like the muscle up, like the human flag, like the handstand, and you can learn these moves within a few months if you want to. It doesn't take that much time. So I was really looking for that thing as in what feels impossible for me. And the one-arm handstand was something that came up. I knew that if I commit to doing the one-arm handstand, I need to devote myself to a whole different level. And this already highlights a different principle that I very quickly want to mention that creates an identity change. You need to set a goal that inspires you, but also that stretches you so much, that's far outside of your comfort zone. Because when you set a bold goal like that, you have to become someone different in the process to achieve it. This is how you change your identity. To set a goal so big that it forces you to become someone different. Because I couldn't do my usual workouts anymore. As in, let me go 4 times to the gym and do 30 minutes of hand balancing. I will not develop circus level mastery by doing this. I have to become someone different. So this is one thing that you can use to your advantage, as in, what is the desired outcome? Maybe not in the tangible, but also as what is the vision of yourself? What kind of man do you want to become? Because this is what I'm attaching my goals to. So that's one way when you look at the desired future, desired outcome. But when you look at pain, to give you a different example, also for a different area, when I look at my relationship area, my first relationship was a 6.5-year relationship. So this was a long relationship. And when we broke up, I wanted to start dating again, but I didn't want to use dating apps. I wanted to approach someone that I felt attracted to when I saw them maybe at a cafe or something, or when I saw them walking down the street. I wanted to say hi to them and meet someone in a natural way like that. But I was extremely social anxious. I was awkward. I didn't have these social skills. I wasn't, let's say, a natural extrovert. So when I made that commitment as okay, yeah, I'm going to say hi to someone on the street. When I saw someone that I was attracted to, my anxiety levels and stress levels went through the roof. I couldn't feel my body anymore. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. All these fears came up as I can't say hi. What will she think of me? What if she rejects me? What if I'm a creep? Whatever the stories are. And it completely shut my whole system down. So every single time I saw someone that I was attracted to, that I wanted to say hi to, my body shut down like that. And I'm actually pretty embarrassed to say this, but this happens not just for a few weeks, not just for a few months. This happened for a significant amount of time. And just imagine the pain that starts to accumulate when you see yourself doing something or wanting to do something and you don't do it over and over and over again. And then you start imagining your future. Where will I end up in the future? When I keep doing this behavior, I will die alone. I will forever be socially anxious. I will never achieve the things that I want to achieve. Will I ever be in a happy relationship? So the pain became so severe that something snapped inside of me. Something just snapped as in, I almost said to myself, if I die, I die. Like, I don't care anymore. The pain is so bad right now that the pain of getting rejected, it can be worse. And that's what moved me into creating that change. And when I created that change, when I moved away from the pain and I started creating a habit out of being social, that opened up a whole different world of possibilities for me. So sometimes the desired future doesn't inspire you enough to do the habits and to create a change. And that's why pain is such a good catalyst. But you need to feel it. And that's the challenging thing for most people. Most people, they avoid their reality. They avoid that confrontation with reality. So when they see that they don't do something and they feel pain, they just run away, they hide, they avoid it, they look away. They don't want to be confronted with the pain. But the pain is necessary to experience for you to create a change. So these are the 2 buckets that you want to focus on. Feel the reason why. Why do I want to change? Why do I want to do the habits in the first place? The second way that you can use to make sure that the habits stick, to make that shift on an identity level, is to envision the identity. And this is what I do a lot in my one-on-one coaching because it is so powerful. Like when I ask you the question, for example, do you have a feeling for what that best version of you looks like? Can you see that version of you that is already doing the habits that you want to be doing, that has already achieved the dreams that you want to achieve? Can you envision that future self? How is he moving through life? What is he doing? What kind of habits does he have? How does he process life? How does he talk? And all of these things you want to envision and feel into. You can feel that version. And the beautiful thing is, you can feel that version right now. Your mind doesn't know the difference between when you are imagining the future and when you are thinking, let's say, about your old self. It doesn't see the difference between the two. So you can feel that version right now, and you can have that energy create in life. You can have that future version of you process your current reality and season that you're in. So, and this is so extremely powerful, because what happens with habits is that people start to force a new habit into their old identity. And it doesn't work like that. Like, you need to let go of the old and create space for the new. This is a very important process. You need to bring that new version into your current life. But you also need to feel what that new version feels like. How does that new version think? So to give you an example of a session I had some time ago, that guy, he wanted to have a workout routine. He wanted to go consistently to the gym for certain goals that he was pursuing, and it just wasn't working for him. And every single time he prioritized different things. He was also saying like, I'm so tired in the morning, so I can't really go to the gym. I'm so tired in the evening. And different priorities came up. And I was just letting him vent for a moment. Sometimes it's necessary. And then he asked me the question, if I'm tired after work, should I go to the gym? Should I still go to the gym? And when he asked me that question, I thought like, I need to snap him out of this state because this was his old identity speaking. So I told him, why the fuck are you even asking this question in the first place? You shouldn't even be entertaining this thought. You shouldn't even be entertaining this question. This shouldn't even be a question in the first place. Why are you asking me this question? And when I confronted him like that, it snapped him immediately out of it. Because now he could see that, and he is very good at processing certain information himself. So he could see that his old identity was speaking. His old identity was, I am tired, so should I go to the gym, yes or no? So he is entertaining these questions. That new version of him that is doing the habits consistently, he wouldn't even allow himself to entertain these questions. He would completely process life differently. So this is also what I challenged him to do. How would that new version process these current questions? How would that version that is achieving the dreams that you want to have right now, how is he processing it? And that's when he could see like, it immediately answered the question for him. But are you tapping into that version of you consistently? Because if I would process it myself, a question like that, I wouldn't even allow myself to entertain it. When I see myself questioning like, I'm so tired, I shouldn't go to the gym, I'm too exhausted, I start smiling. I condition myself to smile. Because now I tell myself, it's not just a physical workout, it becomes a mental workout. So let's go. So now I can build the characteristics of the man that I want to be. Because now I have to do the things even though I don't feel like doing them. And this is the type of version of myself that I want to build and create. And that I feel tired and exhausted gives me a beautiful opportunity to develop those characteristics. So that's how I'm currently processing life. So when I'm tired or exhausted, it's not even a question if I go to the gym or not. I'm always going to the gym unless I'm injured or ill. That's the standard that I'm living by. So when I start questioning like that, I just start to smile and tell myself that story. So what is that new version of you? How is he processing your current season that you're in? Because there's so much powerful data already inside of you. It's already inside of your heart. You can access that right now if you create the time and space to ask yourself that question. What would that future version of myself, what would he do right now? Because you can be your own most powerful coach. Sometimes you don't even need a coach. You just have to ask your future version. And maybe not even your future version. Maybe there's a role model that you look up to. It's like, and you can fill in the blanks, whatever role model you look up to, what would he do right now if he was in my shoes? So now you start to align the identity with the habits instead of having a big separation between the two and trying to force the two together. So, and that's where when you tap into that new identity, actions become more fluent. Because the client that I mentioned in the session, the actions and habits became more automatic. He immediately answered the question. He wasn't even questioning anymore. He felt like, oh, of course, this is it. And he just started to move in the way that he wanted to move. And that is what starts happening when you tap into the new identity. So ask yourself the question, what would the best of me and what would this person do in my shoes right now, in this stage, in this season of my life? So this is the second way. The third way is the most fun way, but also a challenging way. And this is, you have to disprove your old identity. And this one is not for the faint of heart. This one is also the most powerful, but it does require some initial force and willpower. You need to disprove your current identity, because when we're looking at changing your identity, your old self needs to die. You need to rattle the cage. That's why these little habits and these little actions, let's start small, these things are not going to change you, because when you change on an identity level, like something breaks, like your old identity completely shatters, is a process of death and rebirth. And these processes, they are not gentle. They are not gentle at all. So that's why you need pressure. You need to experience a certain level of stress or pain, this emotional catalyst. It is necessary for you to create that change. So that's why you can also put yourself in a situation that completely destroys all the stories that you have about yourself or the world around you. And this is one of the most powerful ways, because most people, they start to build a new house on top of their old house. Of course, it becomes clunky. Of course, this is not possible. You need to break down your old house to start building the new. You need to let go of the old to make space for the new and to start creating the new. A process of death and rebirth. And this is a process that also goes way deeper internally when it comes to the stories, the limiting beliefs, the conditioning. So like I said, if you want me to create a deep dive into this topic, let me know in the comments below. And I would love to create one that goes way deeper into the nitty-gritty of the process of dissolving these stories and limiting beliefs and this conditioning. But for the sake of keeping it more surface level, how can you put yourself in a position where you are automatically with that action questioning every single thing that you believed about yourself and the world around you? Like, what does that look like for you? Because when I was younger, I was doing an internship at a gym, and this was in my teenage years. So I was still, like I said in the beginning, I was still socially anxious. So when I was working in the internship, I was even afraid to say hi to people. And in the second week, the trainer that was guiding me, he came to me and he asked me, do you want to do one song of my Aquafit class? So the Aquafit class is where you are dancing for an hour on the side of the pool in front of 30 people. And if I am afraid to say hi to people, this felt like dying to me. Doing something like that, it felt impossible. So I knew, because I was deep into personal development, I knew that I had to do something massive to create a change, because I had Tony Robbins in my mind, take massive action. So this was just front of mind, massive action. So what I told him was, no, I'm not going to do one song. Give me 2 weeks and I'll do your whole class. So now I made such a big commitment. That was the complete opposite of what my old identity thought was true. Like, I can do this. I'm not extroverted. I am socially anxious. I can dance in front of people like that. Like, I thought that I would completely freeze. This is what I thought would happen. And I prepared as if my life depended on it. Like, I prepared so much for that class. And I did the class. And of course, this was not the most perfect class. Like, I've never done it before. But when I finished that class, I knew that I didn't die. Like, I'm still alive. Like, I had to experience that feeling as in, I made it. Like, I did it. So this broke every single thing that I believed about myself. So, of course, this was such a huge jump when it comes to my identity. It's such a huge catalyst. So from that moment on, saying hi to people in the gym, like that habit, it became effortless because of the huge jump that I made. Doing these group classes even became fun for me. Like, that was crazy to imagine. So this disproved everything that I thought was true. And this is where sometimes you can question the identity in your own mind in a way and destroy it like that. But sometimes you need to put yourself in a situation where you destroy your identity like that. And similar to the example that I gave about making my first approach when it comes to wanting to date someone that I met at a cafe. Like, when I made that first approach, I got rejected, by the way. I wish there was a happy ending. But when I approached her, she mentioned that she was married, that she had kids. But what she told me was, I love this so much. Thank you so much for approaching me. Thank you so much for giving me this compliment. But yeah, of course, she couldn't continue that because she was married. She was way older than me. I don't know what I was thinking. But when I walked away from her, of course, people are afraid for that rejection. And I initially also thought that a rejection like that would completely break me. But I felt on top of the world. I faced one of my biggest fears in that moment. So this changed everything that I believe was true. Even the beliefs as in, I'm a creep. Women don't want to be approached. But this completely disproved that story. As in, she was even happy that I approached her. She loved the compliment. But of course, she couldn't date me because she was married. So the rejection didn't even feel like a rejection. It felt like I became a completely new person by doing that. Because all the beliefs that I had about you are a creep, you are this, you are that, they were not true anymore. So now I broke down that identity and I created space for the new. So this is where you need to put yourself in these radical positions sometimes, where everything that you thought was true is completely destroyed and questioned. And this is honestly, I believe, the most powerful way in how you can create a change in your life. So these are the 3 ways that you can use intentionally to change your identity, how you can create that catalyst for change, and then you will see that certain habits become an automatic byproduct. So for me, when I destroyed that belief about I can approach women, I destroyed that identity, that old self, made that first approach. Now it became a habit to start talking to people. Similar to when I did that first group class, the Aquafit class. So now it became a habit to say hi to people. It became fun having these interactions with people. So this habit, I didn't have to focus on, okay, let me say hi to people. This is the habit that I want to create. It became an automatic byproduct of me just destroying that old identity of myself. So these are the emotional changes and catalysts that you want to look for. And bear in mind, change is not gentle. Changes, it involves pressure, it involves stress, it is a challenge. You start to question every single thing possible. Fear starts taking over. And this is part of the process. You're supposed to feel this. People go for the habits and for the little actions and the small steps because it's safe, it's certain. But safety and certainty is not going to change you. Like, you need to rattle the cage. You need to shake things up in your life. And this is one way to do it. So thank you for being here if you got to this part of the video. Let me know what your perspective is on this as well, how you maybe change your identity, maybe certain experiences that you had in your life. I would love to bounce back and forth with you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.